Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Generational Health with my co host, Miss Whitney. How are you today?
Hey guys, I am doing well today. What about yourself?
Oh, I am doing well. Your they say that you're only as good as your tools. And
Mhm.
I can just hear you so good. So it's a good thing we're going into this solopreneur, the lessons learned today. And I was just talking about that because, let's talk about what a solopreneur is first. And I think this is going to be a great episode with a lot of lessons learned. But I was
Yeah.
saying that, and I was complimenting you on your audio and your equipment because you're just as sharp, and I can hear you very well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and that's something that we, as solopreneurs, as entrepreneurs, we have to pay close attention to because those are the tools that help us to get to where we're looking to go and reach our goals. So tools are very important.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I think sometimes we get a little discouraged when we see what the finished product of other people who have been doing this longer than us, what that looks like in terms of like video or audio or things like that. But really, we just have to start. And when we start, we save up and then we have the money to invest in those things. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't start, use what you have until you can get something that's of a higher quality.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I'm gonna read the definition and what I did a Google search of solopreneurship, and so it's one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business or enterprise without the help of a partner. A solo entrepreneur, one of the challenges or one of the many challenges would be when a solopreneur um, overlook overlook is cash flow. Kind of didn't make sense in that sentence, but I understand what they're saying. Cash flow.
Mhm.
When you, the owner of a single person business, stop working, your cash flow is often reduced to zero. And then also, I just wanted to go a little bit further when it says, what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a solopreneur? Entrepreneur often hires and manages a team, unlike a solopreneur who runs the operations of a business and fulfills tasks needed to deliver their products and services. Entrepreneurs often outsource the fulfillment of products and services to their employees so that they can focus on managing the business itself.
Mhm.
So I think that's even great to even take a look at the difference between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think we call ourselves entrepreneurs, but sometimes we take on that role of solopreneurship until we can get to the entrepreneurship part. But I think that it's important that we have that as a strategy or as a as we plan out where we're going with our business, that we really know where we are, what the
Mhm.
steps are to get there, and then what that ultimate goal looks like.
Yeah, for sure. And even, I guess, even as you were reading the definition for me, then I guess I've not been a solopreneur probably since, I don't know. Oh, I guess maybe some years ago when I was doing consulting work on my own, but it's a blessing, I think, even though the government technically classifies us as a one person when you're married and in business with your partner, in terms of like filing your taxes and all the other stuff, you're considered one, even though you're two people. Technically, that's having support. So we wouldn't necessarily be considered solopreneurs, we'd be considered entrepreneurs. But I hadn't thought of that in that regard. We definitely manage everything, our own for the most people on our team that actually came from the services that we provided that are our clients that kind of support in that regard. But starting off, it was just us in a dream. And really, I guess my husband then would have been the solopreneur that started what we're doing because he was the one that started training and everything. And I just kind of came on board um, after that.
And I think that's important. That's key. That's important to understand because just until we read it, I really, I always say entrepreneur, but I've always, operated as a solopreneur, looking to, I guess, independently collaborate. So interdependently collaborating with other business owners but still operating as a solopreneur, because I haven't had that partner until, until as of late, where I've started to partner. But before, it was all solopreneurship, and I really didn't even know that that was a thing, actually.
Yeah.
And I think the blessing is when you do have a husband or a, reliable partner, that you can, split the task and the duties up, and, you both operate in your own lane. But even forming that type of a partnership is a challenge, because you both, must have the same vision, if you will, for the company, for the business.
Yeah.
I think having the same work ethic is very important. I think being able to manage the relationship, manage the roles, manage the duties, manage the financial responsibility, all of that it takes work and navigation, and it has to be the right partner, because when you partner with someone in business, it's just like a marriage, because you're actually coming together for a common goal, and you're working together in this business marriage, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that you brought out some really great points there in terms of like the various components and things that need to be done. And, people that are able to work together, being able to split up those responsibilities. But from a person of when you don't have that, being really mindful of, okay, well, how can I simplify? How can I not try and do the work of 10 people when I am one person? Or how can I not try and do the work of 2 people when I'm one person? Like, what are the things or the actions that I need to specifically focus on to earn me income and to help me make impact in my business? Like, if those are the 2 things that I focus on, let me do that. And I think a lot of times we do get that, shiny object syndrome, where we do see the other things happen. I should be doing this, or I should be doing this or that or the other. Looking into other people's businesses and not realizing like they got 10 people working on that. Like, you don't have that kind of time just because you see them, because they're the face of the company. You don't see the team behind the person. And so really being like, okay, what are the core things that I could be focusing on, like that I need to be focusing on, to make sure that I actually have a viable business that's supporting me. And that, so that was just really great perspective in terms of like, yes, don't do all the things, do the things that matter.
That's a good point. Don't do all the things. And I think, when we talk about lessons learned, I feel that this is the time that I'm finally coming into really, I've always loved business. I think I can say even from early as 10 years old, when I had a paper route and a babysitting job at the same time, I always knew I loved business. But actually knowing how to run business, or run a business, grow a business, scale a business, all of the terms, and like you said, all of the things, you think that you have to do and learn all of these things. And when you didn't come, like I didn't come from an entrepreneur family, so I didn't get exposed to it. So I'm thinking maybe I've reached back or something into like my great aunt, who was an entrepreneur, but then I think about it, my grandmother, she cleaned houses for a living, but that's entrepreneurship, because she did the work and she got paid for it. Now, she may not have known or understood that that was a business, and she could have been a maid service or something. But, again, me even thinking now in terms of business, just learning all of the key components is what has really been my focus lately, just making sure that everything is in place, because oftentimes when you're working in your business and on your business and being a solopreneur, you kind of get lost in the survival of the business versus the thriving of the business. So so you're like, okay, I need to bring in revenue. Wait, I need to work to bring the revenue in. I need to do this. Wait, hold on. And you never work on like the marketing. So you may have a client or customer, and then when that customer is gone, if they don't give you a referral, or if your warm market doesn't give you a referral, then you're stuck again. Like, okay, I'm sitting here. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's very important to align yourself. We talk about in one of our programs, which is a new program that we launched. It's called Finding Your Moment of Clarity, and you can find it on Member Vault, and I'll put the information in the description. As I was going through with a new partner, and just learning and putting the components together, it's been an amazing experience, because I stayed in my lane and he stayed in his lane, and it was birthed. And so I think what you are experiencing, be having a partner, I think that's an amazing thing. When you have a partner that understands their role, understands their part, you understand yours, and you bring it together. And I always use the example of my mother's sweet potato pie, because when you have all the right ingredients, man, that pie is no joke.
Right.
And it's the same thing in business. When you have the right team together, or you pull together the right strategy, and when you walk that strategy out, you're going to get that sweet potato pie to make your eyes roll back in your head.
Oh yes, for sure, for sure. I think vein of that, in terms of like having the right ingredients in terms of a team, I think also when you think about, well, what are the 4 areas, the right ingredients for me to focus on in terms of like moving my business forward or gaining momentum. And I think it's really 4 areas that I generally find just in research and what we do and all that. It's like really making sure your marketing is good, so that you can speak to the people, like making sure your sales is good so you can actually like gain clients from the people, making actually deliver the service that you promised the clients or the product. And then your operations are good in terms of like your finances, making sure you're paying your taxes, making sure like you don't forget to file your your annual statement every year, so that you don't end up being in, bad standing, or your business name gets shut down and you out here operating and you're in bad standing. Like that's happened before. I was working for a company and they filed their actual, registration. We are registered as an entity in the state. I came in and maybe 4 years in or so, just happened to go and look at, the business entity search just to see where we were. Because that's generally what I do with any business that I like talk to. And it was like, oh no, you don't have his name no more. Like you're not in good standing. You haven't filed an annual statement ever. Like just making sure that those things, are in place. So you're not out here just running. And then you look back and you have to fix all these things from all these gaps because there were holes in the foundation.
Absolutely. Gaps and holes in the foundation. That's a key component. I missed one, and I do apologize. We're having some technical difficulties as far as the freezing. So one of the things that you said was marketing, sales, operations, and I missed the other one.
Delivery. So you actually can deliver the service to the clients that you have, or, the product that you have to your clients, or whatever it is that you.
Yeah. And that's so good. Because those are some of the lessons that I've learned. We talked about it a little bit ago when we were talking about, how to pull together your team, because eventually when you're working on the marketing, working on the sales, working on the operations, and working on the delivery, then juggling all those balls, you want to make sure that you're not dropping them. And if you're actually really good at bringing in the business, then eventually you're going to need to move from solopreneur to entrepreneur and be able to manage a team. But the thing of it is that, and one of the hard lessons that I've learned is that the team that you pull together, and I think this was the lesson that you just talked about, was until you put that team through the same hiring process that you would put someone else through, that person may not be a good fit on your team, even though you may have a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. Time and time again, I've done that, and that's been a fatal error for some of my businesses that I've started before, with some of life challenges, because as solopreneur, you have life challenges that come about. And just like what we talked about earlier with cash flow, if you can't get out and do the business, then the business it goes stagnant, it goes dormant. It's nothing, can be produced from it. And if you don't have the right capable team around you, then the business, it falls. Like, I just told you about an instance that I just had with, my accountant, which I adored, had amazing skills, talents, and abilities. But again, a solopreneur, and unfortunately, he passed away. And so when he passed away, all of us clients, we're still kind of sitting in a balance because we don't have access to our stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that happens when you're a solopreneur, because everything is, you're running it in your head, you're running it in your books, you're running it in your office, but there's no team around you to not only protect your business if something happens to you, but also to protect your client. So solopreneurship is that just kind of hit me when this incident came up with us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think it's super important too that the team that you have, like, they're there for the company and not for you. And I think a lot of times when we have relationship with people, they're excited for you in the moment of what you're doing. They're excited for what's happening. That's great in terms of friendships, but I think when it comes to running a company, they have to be excited about what the company is doing, because if they get mad at you, they're not, okay, I'm done. Like, no, you're excited about what this company is. We had a disagreement, but you're still, on fire for this vision about the impact that we're making in the world. So we'll handle that as we need to handle it professionally. But it's not like you can just be like a friend, quote unquote, and be like, okay, I'm done because we had a disagreement. So I think that's a very key component of like, who are you here for? What are you here for? Like, is it a good fit for you to be here on the team? Because what if I sold the company like in 2 years, but you've now been here for 2 years, you have the DNA of the company, like you've poured into the company. Are you just going to leave because I'm no longer there? Or are you going to be here to help the company continue to grow and maintain and like do it together? Like, it's just thinking about it from a mentality and mindset perspective of like, who needs to really be in the space based on, who are you here for? What are you here for?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And again, making the right decisions and the right choices, oftentimes it takes us to connect with a coach, with a mentor, because if you haven't been in like you may know an industry, like for years and years ago, when I had my twins, I opened up a daycare because I said, oh, I love children. Now listen, I love children, right? And, hindsight, I probably should have just babysat, grab some of these children around and just kept them when I wanted them. But I had this brilliant idea to open up a 24/7 daycare because I had twins and I had a 7-year-old. And I said, if I open the daycare, I'm already going through cases of diapers and bottles. This was my rationale for opening a whole daycare, guys. I said, I have twins. I'm going through cases of diapers and cases of bottles. What's a few more bottles or a few more cases? And if I'm going to be here anyhow, and then my children can be with me instead of going to another daycare if I went out and it worked. I actually stepped away from my job. But, it was not planned out properly. So that's the whole thing too, is planning all your strategies in the business, because it may be a great idea and it may be a great hobby, but it may not convert into an actual viable business. And then being a solopreneur, you can burn yourself out. I burnt myself out time and time again because I was trying to do all of the things. And then you look up and say, wait, if you're in survival mode, you say, wow, that's a great idea right there. That's going to make some money right away. But then your business now lacks because now you're over here working on bringing in money to the business, but you're not actually working on that business model. So staying focused and not veering over here. Wait, that's a good idea. That connects. It doesn't work if you're not focused, because you have to focus on all of the things within that one business, which is the marketing, the sales, delivery, operations, as you stated so eloquently earlier. So it is it's a huge undertaking to become an entrepreneur. And then, it also takes the stick-to-itness, making sure that you stick it out, even when your business model may change and you decide, okay, let's pivot over here. This is what it looks like, or pivot over here because this is the money maker, which all businesses need money in order to grow. In order to not just grow, but it's the lifeline.
For sure. And I think speaking to that, I think it's important that we have a mindset that it's not about perfection. Like, we won't know, we won't know every single strategy. We won't know every single thing to do. So it's not about perfection, but I do think it's about presence. I think it's about being present in your business so that if you do need to pivot, so that you're aware. You don't have to be a master accountant, but you should be aware, like you don't have to be a master marketer, but you should be aware of the message that you're communicating to your client, well, to your potential clients. You don't have to be a master salesman, but you should be able to have a sales conversation with someone, like, and help them determine if what you have is, something that's for them. So like I said, I just think it's about being present and being aware and knowing your business, and not like you should be the expert in your business, of your business, not just of the service that you're delivering, but like of your actual business and outs and all the things. So again, just not about perfection, but about being present, fully present.
Absolutely, absolutely. And carving out this new business model with the branding, marketing, and building your business, it's taught me so much of all of the different components that, you may understand, okay, I do need some marketing, or I do need some sales, but understanding, your brand promise, understanding proper preparation prevents poor performance, understanding all of these things and it is a lot of things, but when you organize them and you set aside time to work on each one of those, before you know it, you've built a viable business, and now you have great hiring practices. It's funny, I have to go back to a time when I was, I always tried to pull my mom into my businesses, which was not the best of ideals, because sometimes relationships are better preserved as the relationship versus pulling everybody into your business saying, oh, wow, I think, you may need a little extra money and I need a little extra help. Come on in. I tell this funny story about my mom. She came to work with me, and I looked around and she was making airplanes out of my out of my file papers because she had got bored, so she was making airplanes. I was like, oh my Lord, you're not gonna fire my mom. You can't, you can't put yourself in those kind of situations. But time and time again, I have, girlfriends. Ladies, I apologize for always coming after you for business. I have girlfriends who's like, girl, I just want to be your friend. I want to be your associate. I don't even like business, and then you kind of want to pull everybody into your dream or into your vision, especially if you're a visionary like I am. So there's a lot of lessons, a lot of hard knocks and bruises when you are in the solopreneurship or the entrepreneurship space. But I tell you, I think it's not for the faint of heart. It has to be in your blood, because it's something that you just keep at, and it's just like hitting a rock. You keep on hitting it, and eventually it's going to break apart. If you focus like the sun, focus on it, it'll burn it up eventually. But you have to stay focused, and you have to stay with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So this has been a great lesson for us. Just sharing some nuggets about entrepreneurship, and I think that this is one that we can continue to talk about. I know our time was a little bit short today, and again, we do apologize for some of the technical difficulties, but we're going to go ahead and post this anyhow, because there was a lot of great nuggets and lessons that were dropped here. And so, as Ms. Whitney so eloquently stated, you keep on, you use what you got, then you keep moving forward, keep pouring into it, and before you know it, you'll be shined up just like all of the other experts.
Yes, for sure. I think maybe in my final words, I guess, to share my final thoughts would be like, if you have been thinking about entrepreneurship, like you kind of know how you said it's not for the faint of heart. Like, it's there, you can feel it. I've tried multiple times to get my friends to be entrepreneurs, and they just are not. Like, it is a clear and easy no for them. They're like, no, I'm good collecting my check here, where I don't have to think about or manage a whole business and do all these other things. Like, no, just give me my check, let me advance in my career, and I'm good. Leave me alone. Lesson I had to learn as a solopreneur is everybody is not, or as an entrepreneur, everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur, and that's okay. I can't force every idea I have about what somebody else is doing on them. And that is a challenge as well, as a creative and as a visionary, because you're like, oh, if you just did this with that, you could do this. And people be like, okay. And then they don't do it. And then you be mad, like, well, why you ain't do that? Don't come telling me about your money problems no more. Because it's with that, and you would have been fine. Everybody is not that. And so that's a final lesson I had to learn. Like, if you know, and if your friends know that this is not it, It's okay. You just go about your business.
What came to my mind was Aretha Franklin's RESPECT. Find out what it means to be. So respect that person. And I had to learn that too, because I was like, oh my God, you're so talented. See, I'm the type of visionary that sees the gift in other people. And when you see the gift that's right there, you're like, oh my God, you'd be such, like for my final thoughts too, my younger daughter, your sister Tatiana, I tell her, oh my gosh, she's a gifted event planner, gifted with decorations, gifted artist. Like she can freehand draw beautiful pictures. And I run to her and I'm like, oh my God, you could decorate for weddings. You could do a wedding. She was like, that's stressful. Why would I want to do that?
Yes.
And I'm like, but it's a beautiful business and you're so good at it. It just comes second nature to you. She's like, no, like, you think, then you know what? If it was like 10 of me running around, I probably would have picked it up and said, okay, tell me what to do. And I'll go and I'll get an event planner. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. I'll be a photographer because I love photography. And I'm like, okay, hold on. You would drive yourself nutty if you are that type of a creative, visionary type person. However, when you find one passion, find that passion, stick with it. I'm still working on it, but you stick with that one passion and watch it blossom and bloom and watch it be your blessing. So for now, we just wanted to share that with you. That was on our hearts. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. You never know who the entrepreneur spirit has fallen upon. And then those that say no, listen to that no, and it's okay. Stay for friendship.
Exactly.
Until next time, stay fearless. Bye for now.